Welcome back to Good Morning Sri Lanka. In case you just tuned in, I am your host Jason. Today, I really wanted to get into family businesses because that is something that's really important here in this country. And our next guest, of course, is going to give us a lot of detail about how to run a family business and the succession of it. So I'd like to introduce our next guest, who is Mr. Christophe Bernard, who is the Global Head of Family Business KPMG. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, welcome to Good Morning Sri Lanka. I know this is your second time here in Sri Lanka, and we're hoping that this would really be like, hey, memory, I was on Good Morning Sri Lanka.
Oh, that's great.
All right, so Christophe, now we're here to speak about family businesses here in Sri Lanka. So far, from what you've seen, how do you think this line industry of family businesses will survive here in this country?
Oh, I wouldn't say that surviving is going to be key, but you have a lot of family businesses. Mm-hmm. The strange thing about it is, speaking about governance and succession was not a trendy thing up to now, and it's just beginning.
Sure.
And the reason why I'm here today in Sri Lanka is we had a conference last Thursday where we had invited a few people and the top family businesses in Sri Lanka. Mm-hmm. And we're waiting to get 20 to 25 people maximum. More than 100 have appeared. It has been a great success, just incredible. What does that mean? That means that governance and succession is now an area which we can openly speak about, which is very key and very important.
Right. For the people watching at home right now, let's get down to basics first of all. What is a family business, to be exact?
A family business is a business which is run by a family, or at least which is owned by a family. Much more by run. Sorry about that. Right. It's a business which is owned by a family. So that means it's been founded by somebody, and then it's been transferred inside the family, so that could be a second, third, fourth, sixth generation. Mm-hmm. That's what a family business is about. Right.
All right. So how does KPMG get involved with a family business?
Well, we have decided 2 years ago to build up a global center of excellence to focus on family issues. Mm-hmm. KPMG is made of 155,000 professionals worldwide, taking care of business on a daily basis. Right. But we want to take care of the family issues because the family issues drive the business of the families. And that's where we definitely want to have a clear input on any kind of family issues.
Okay. Right. For example, so you're saying that a family has to be strong in order for its business to be strong as well? Or survive, or even be successful?
Well, a family has to be very transparent in the way they can manage any kind of possible conflicts they have, so that the business is not going to be affected by that. And that's the reason why we have built up the team here. This team is run by Tamari Rodrigo, and this team has been supported by Global and trained by Global to make sure that we can address those issues.
Right. So it's a lot of personal issues that in a family business that you have to kind of take out in order for the business to even survive or be successful.
Yeah, but more than being survived, it's really much more about being successful. Mm-hmm. And the key thing about a family business is if you want to make it easy for everybody in the family, you need to grow your business and you need to grow the profit of your business as quick as your family is growing. If not, the cake is going to be shrinked into a larger number of people. So it doesn't work. So that means you need to be successful if you want to stay a family-owned business.
Right. So now your team would get involved with a family business if it's second generation, if I'm correct.
Yeah, well, that's or from the first to going to the second generation. That's where it's really becoming key because I mean,
transition period.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Transition period, and then taking care of second, third, or more generation. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. All right, so let's hypothetically say Jason is about to start his family business, or it has been. It started maybe 2 years ago, and now I'm passing it on to my son. Let's just
only 2 years ago.
Let's say 10. Let's say 10 years ago. And I'm passing it on to my son. So that's when you come and get involved. I have 2 sons. Let's just say I have 2 sons, and I'm giving it to my kids. How do you come and get involved with
First question, that means you don't have any daughters, right?
No, I don't.
You only have sons. Okay, fine. Fine. Did you already speak to your sons? Are they interested in the business? Are they really willing to take your succession in that business?
Right. One of them is, and the other one is 50-50.
Okay, what do you mean by 50-50?
Like he wants to do it, but he doesn't want to do it at the same time.
Okay, great.
He's confused.
Okay, and have you ever thought about splitting the ownership and the management? It's like having two different caps on your head.
Okay.
When you are the founder, you are doing everything. You take any kind of decision. I mean, it's like if you were playing music. I mean, you are a kind of soloist.
Right.
That means that you decide the melody, the tune, the rhythm, and you play the music on your own. When you go to chamber music, that means you're going to have a few other people around you.
Right.
But then you cannot choose everything. You have to agree and to discuss on what you're going to be playing, which kind of melody, which kind of tune, which kind of rhythm. And that's exactly what it is going to be about in a family business. So that means then you can have different caps, different hats,
Right.
and one cap could be the management, another one could be the ownership.
Okay.
And you're not obliged, and your children or your sons are not obliged to wear those two hats.
Right.
So maybe one of them is going to be having only the ownership cap, and the other one is going to be having ownership plus management cap.
Okay. Oh, interesting. So it doesn't necessarily have to pass down to each and every kid in your next in line for the throne, I would say, in your family business.
That's not the throne, but anyway, no, what I think is you definitely have to split the ownership from the management. The ownership is where you as a family member and the family council or whatever the structure is going to be, you're going to be deciding on the strategy.
Right.
You're going to be deciding on the long-term vision, on the values that you want to impose.
Right.
But then the management is where you execute what the strategy has decided.
Right.
So it could be run by family people, but it could also be run by non-family executives
Right.
who are going to be just executing what you have decided as a family member.
Right. What would you recommend? Would you recommend to have an outsider being part of the management or a family member?
Well, it depends on the people you have. It depends on the people you have in your family. I mean, if you have the best people in your family, please bring them in the business.
Right.
Because they're going to be very competent and they're going to be very successful. If you don't, please look for somebody from outside.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Now, let's speak about investors. Now, a lot of businesses get investors coming into a business, and they would maintain shares from this business. How do you maintain, if you're, especially from a family's perspective, how would you maintain, hey, I own this much, so I get to make this much of decisions? But what if your investor owns like 50% of your company? How would you clash with that when making a decision? And your
Yeah, well, that's a key question. If you already have an investor who took over 50% of your business, that means you have done something wrong in the succession planning in the past.
Okay.
Because that means you have lost the pure majority of your shares.
Right.
And that is really something which is so much important. And you can imagine if you are on the third or the fourth generation, how many cousins you're going to have, how many people you're going to have in the firm, and the shares could be splitted into all of those people, and maybe some of them who are going to get 5 or 10% of the shares are definitely not interested in the business, or maybe they don't know anything about the business.
True.
And maybe they will be happy to sell those shares. That is where you definitely need to have a legal shareholder agreements where you can check what's going to happen and give a kind of privilege to the family people to buy the shares of those who would like to get out.
Right.
But there's many kind of structures that could be invented here. I've got many examples with my clients and with the companies we are following on the global point of view. But that is really key.
Yeah.
Once again, think about the ownership. That is the key thing to keep within the family.
Right, true. All right, so now decision-making rights. Is that always entitled to someone that owns the majority of shares in a company, in a family business?
Well, I would say it mainly depends on the process you have to agree upon. And again, it's a question of how you make things happen. And whatever the process is, it has to be discussed, it has to be decided, it has to be transparent. If it is, then everybody would agree on any kind of decisions you would take as the manager or the CEO or the firm. But please make sure that the process is very clear to everybody, that everybody in the family can have their say, can really give their own opinion on the process, and then agree on that. And when you have agreed on that, then it's going to be easy to run the business.
Right. On that note, we'll go into a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with more of Christophe and the succession of a family business.
Thank you.